Hi everybody and welcome to 120. I'll tell you what my beef is with Narendra Modi. These are challenging days and really heart-wrenching days because India is burning. India is burning. If you look at the country and from the sky and you look at these crematoriums and the fires that are burning the loved ones of so far close to 200,000 people, which is the official figure, and by many accounts that should be doubled or quadrupled. And I think we can just look at it and feel sad, but we have to think about what's happening in India at the broader context, and that is why I put this video together and taken some notes to share with you, to reflect and try to put our head around the second most populous country in the world and to see what's wrong, why India is where it is today, and where is India trying to go, and should it go there or not. So let me share a few things with you. Narendra Modi came to power in 2014. It's almost seven and a half years. And during this time, the social, religious erosion, as senses and aromas and flavors and accentuations of ideological, divisive policies have grown. And in the only caste society remaining in 21st century, which is hard to put your head around, as India is the only country with a caste system in 21st century, he as well introduced a citizenship bill that was a caste over caste layers. And, so pigeonholing minorities and creating policies that are not coherent, cohesive, and inclusive. Now, 70% of India's population live under $2 per day. So there is rampant, abject poverty in that country, sadly so. And this is a country that has some of the nicest people that at least I have met in my life, who are grappling with slow growth, high unemployment, and an infrastructure that is mind-boggling when you look at it. Corruption that is, abundant, sadly so. And even from a freedom point of view, Freedom House has recently moved India from free to partly free. It's very interesting. So when you combine all of these things and you look at these complexities embedded inherent in a society that has as well chronologically and critically underinvested in its infrastructure, in its state of capacities and capabilities for its masses, then you come and you introduce a pandemic, and through that pandemic you have hundreds and millions of people who are at the lowest socioeconomic steps of the ladder, or even not even on the ladder to begin with. And then you have a national lockdown, which happened last year. So millions of migrants were supposed to go back. You're not allowed to stay in Mumbai, Delhi, and Chennai. Go back. Some of them walked for 1,000 kilometers, bare feet, with ulcers and blisters on their feet. Many of them perished, according to some, 1,000 officially, like everything else official in India, and many without water, without food, without money. So then, and according to some, it reminded many of the sense and the time of partition with India, people walking for days and days and days. And then, even a few weeks ago, the BJP and Narendra Modi were calling people for, rallies and masses to come, and and political rallies without masks, without social distancing, which has been part of many of these disintegrations of unity in the fabric of the society. But hang in there. 200,000 people in India so far have perished, according to official statistics. Again, remember that these are by many contested, and they say they have to be doubled or quadrupled. So the question here is that if a country has been so, in many ways and more than one, underinvested in development of its socio-economic, political healing, as I said, this citizenship bill and being moved from free to partly free by Freedom House is telling. Then the question is, what does India want to do? Well, India is finding itself at the heart of a new partnership, a partnership that has been in hibernation and now coming back again, called the Quad. And Quad stands for Quadrilateral Security Dialogue between United States, Australia, Japan, and India. To do what? To counter China and to create an alliance, which China calls it a mini NATO, and to confront China's policy in Indo-Pacific. Let's pause. Not everything is great with China, by no means, and China is not all panacea. China has its own challenges, its own handicaps, its own complexities. But what matters here, I should say, is where is India's place to get carried away, to start pushing back against China? A China that with a larger population has lost around 4,700 lives versus the 200,000 official or the 400,000 unofficial deaths in India. 400,000 is 10 times what the United States lost in Vietnam in terms of lives and casualties. 10 times the Vietnam War is the total of what India, according to many, have lost to COVID, versus 4,700 in China. So to lock horns with China in this so-called Quad, with an economy that is growing on 12 cylinders, with an administration that has transformed the state of infrastructure in China. Look at the bullet trains and the airports of China, the railway system. So for India to, in my opinion, get involved in big power play out of hubris and ego, having not sorted the house yet, is nothing but naive. India, at the moment, has got into Oxygen Express, sending trains for lack of oxygen on its railway system. Now, any of us who have seen or traveled to India and know the tragedies and the derailments can only hope and keep fingers crossed and pray that one of these Oxygen Expresses doesn't get derailed, because that would be another tragedy in making. China builds a hospital in 10 days. India hasn't transformed its railway system that it inherited from UK as a colonial power. In all of these years, the trains and the wagons remain the same. Now they're turning those trains into hospitals. So my point, I guess, here is that the gap between Indo-Pacific pushback between India and China is as wide as the Pacific itself. And this ambitions of India are okay to have, and to want to be a world power. But with 70% of population still in abject poverty, and whereas you look at the number of people that have been pulled out of poverty in China over the past few decades, hundreds of millions according to World Bank and many others. And now China is a mid-income country, mid-income developing country. Then that begs the question, where is India going? And where should it be its priorities? India's got the largest vaccine manufacturer in the world, Serum Institute of India. Yes, and sadly so, that is the state of affairs at the moment for the people of India. So, diplomacy or vaccine diplomacy, which India wanted to play and manufacture vaccines, United States provides financing, Australia does the last mile delivery, and Japan provides cold chain, is not adding up when India cannot even provide the necessary care and its fiduciary responsibility towards its citizens. My point here is, you cannot deny the fact that the Asia big power play is here to stay. What India should not get involved in is to get carried away in arms race and trying to elbow China, and at the cost and expense of its own citizens who are being burned and cremated in crematoriums around the country, just out of the ego of global leaders. Today, the only caste system remaining in 21st century in the world is India. So for United States, Japan, and Australia, and the world community, we have to think, how can India lift itself out of poverty? How can these people who are human beings, fathers, mothers, children, families, be lifted out of poverty and to focus there for prosperity of the second largest population on planet Earth, and encourage them to focus at home to overcome these challenges rather than creating a new geopolitical contention in Asia Pacific and between the two largest populations on planet Earth. Let us hope that in these crematoriums, not only these loved ones who are being put to rest are put to pyres, but also the ego, also the hubris of the decision makers to pause, to reflect, and to look, and then to decide how we have to move forward as humanity. Let us pray for the Indian people in these harsh times and keep some of these points that I just shared with you and just a thought. In between, namaste, do subscribe, and hope to see you soon.